Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. My name is Heidi Roth, and I'd like to welcome you to our cooking demo today, which is we're going to be making some mocktails. So super excited about this. Now, mocktails you can have any time of year, but we're going to be making some kind of holiday mocktails this time, but really you could have these at any time of year. Um, Mocktails have become really popular lately because, for a variety of reasons, people are trying to cut back on drinking. And whether you're cutting it out altogether or whether you're just cutting back on alcohol, a mocktail is a really nice kind of bridge to help you kind of drink less and less or cut it out completely. And so with mocktails, one of the big things that you want with mocktails is you want them to look festive, right? Typically when you have a drink, you're with other people, it's some sort of festive activity, and mocktails are a really nice way to kind of feel like you're joining in the festivities, but you know that you're not deprived. Okay, so when you're making mocktails, you're going to use a lot of the same things that you would actually use if you're making a regular cocktail. So some of the things that you would use for cocktails, this is a muddler, and you can use it to muddle fruit. You can use it to kind of get extra juice out of limes and lemons, mint leaves if you're making something like a mojito. This is a Boston cocktail shaker and a Boston shaker. And what this does is it kind of, it gets your drink extra cold. You have extra room to kind of crush up some of the ice a little bit. So this is really nice. The other thing, and this is a strainer that comes with it too. You can have some jars. We're going to be making a simple syrup today, and jars are always nice to put in some of your simple syrups. If you make a batch cocktail and you have some left over, your jars come in handy. You don't have to buy mason jars. I actually love these glass jars that are just left over from, this one actually had yogurt in it, but wash them, keep them, and you can use them for various things as well. Okay, so let's get started with our first thing that we're going to be doing. Oh, I know. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was that typically mocktails are going to have some sort of sweetener in them. And today we're going to be making a simple syrup. What's a simple syrup? A simple syrup is basically just sugar that's dissolved in hot water, and then you can use it to sweeten your drinks. If you just put sugar into a cold drink, it's not going to dissolve, and all the sugar is going to be at the bottom of it. I forgot to tell everyone that if you want, please feel free to use the chat box. It's so wonderful to have you all here in person. So if you've got a question, a comment, feel free to use the webinar chat as well. Okay, so with my simple syrup today, I'm going to be making a cinnamon simple syrup. So I'm going to take 1 cup of sugar, and I'm going to add in 3 sticks of cinnamon sticks. Added 3 of those. And then I've got my 1 cup of boiling water. This is my electric tea kettle. I love my electric tea kettle. Last year for the holidays, as I was shopping for everyone else, I came across this and I thought, I need an electric tea kettle, and I have used it so much over the past year. All right, so basically you could also do this on the stove. You could just boil water in a pot, add your cup of sugar to it, and stir it around. But with this boiling water will also work too. And with simple syrup, you can just make a plain simple syrup. You could also add in some different types of flavorings as well. You could make a ginger simple syrup. In fact, we're going to be using a ginger simple syrup today as well. So you would just slice up some ginger and put it in there. You could make a basil simple syrup. You could add in some rosemary. This is my little rosemary tree here. I'm kind of excited about that. There's all kinds of different types of simple syrup that you can make. And here I'm just going to give this another stir, and you can see that my sugar is pretty much just about melted. Okay, and I'm going to leave the cinnamon sticks in there for about 30 minutes. The longer you leave something in here, the more intense the flavor is going to be. I really like an intensely flavored ginger syrup. So I actually, when I slice my ginger and I put it in here, I don't take it out. I just leave it. And in fact, I'm going to pull it out of the freezer now. This is my ginger simple syrup. And I don't know if you can see, all the ginger is there at the bottom. And if I'm going to make a big batch of this, I just keep it in the freezer. Because sugar sugar prevents things from being frozen completely. And so even this is just sugar and water, I can still very easily pull out whatever I need for the simple syrup. So, but these simple syrups will last for about 2 weeks in the fridge. Now, let's say you're like, Heidi, I'm not going to be making a simple syrup. What else you got for me? Well, I got other things. You could use a little bit of honey, and instead of the simple syrup, that, with a little bit of shaking will dissolve. You could use an agave syrup, and this also it's a very, very sweet syrup. It's actually a little bit sweeter than simple syrup even. So maybe you might want to cut back a little bit. This one's actually mixed with maple syrup. And depending on the type of drink you use, you could also just use plain maple syrup. And a lot of places are starting to sell these syrups as well that you can use in mocktails. So this one is a chai spice syrup. And this one is a hot toddy. So basically it's just honey, lemon, and some spices. There's no alcohol in this. It's just, the syrups. So those would be some other choices too. But honestly, it's a lot cheaper to make your own. This chai tea, I think, set me back like $10. And I'm like, why don't I just make my own? So those would be some other options for the simple syrups. So we're going to go ahead and make our first mocktail today, which is going to be an apple pie mimosa. So for this, we're going to use a little bit of lemon juice. Go ahead and cut my lemon here. And I'm going to take my citrus juicer, my lemon in, and we're looking for about a tablespoon of lemon juice. So I'm just going to squeeze that in here. Get my tablespoon out. Don't forget, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to use the chat box. All right, so we have lemon squeezed. So what I'm going to do is we're going to rim a glass. There's 2 different types of glasses that you could use for this. You could use, since it's a mimosa, you could use your typical champagne flute to make it a mimosa. You could also use a coupe glass or this martini glass as well. So we actually could make one in each of them. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to make the sugar to dip the rim in. And a sugared rim just kind of makes it, gives it a little extra specialness, makes it pretty, gives it a little bit of extra taste as well. So I'm going to add in, got 1 tablespoon of sugar here. I'm going to add in a tablespoon or so of cinnamon. And you could also use pumpkin pie spice, that would work as well. And we're just going to stir it around. And then I'm going to take my champagne flute. And so here's where you want to save that lemon that still has a little bit of juice in it. And you're going to put a rim on your glass here. So, in. You can see, and you kind of want it. So there's our rim. And for the martini glass, I'm going to need to put this out onto a plate because otherwise it's not going to be deep enough, this bowl. So take my lemon, and so you could do this with lime juice, you could do it with water, but I typically like to just save whatever citrus. If I'm juicing some citrus, I like to use that because it you know, gives it more of it, especially if you're using sugar, you want a little bit of sour to kind of temper some of that sweetness. So we've got that rimmed. These aside. And now we're going to add in a tablespoon of lemon juice. Lemon juice here. Pour that in. And then I'm going to add in, actually, that's supposed to be a teaspoon of lemon juice. My bad. So it's okay. It's all good. This one will be a little bit more lemony than the other one. So we're adding in our teaspoon of lemon juice, and then we're going to add in our teaspoon of cinnamon. And, actually, you don't want these things to be too sweet. So you could certainly use more lemon. You could use more of the cinnamon syrup. And you can see we didn't use very much. So this is going to give you a lot of simple syrup left over. And then basically we're just going to take our, this is a sparkling apple cider, and pour that in. And there's our sparkling mimosa. And there we go. Now, I also like to sometimes add in some extra little, if I have them available, like with this one, I probably wouldn't add in anything extra to that. But I'm thinking this one right here would be really pretty with like an apple slice on it. So I've got some sliced apples here ready to go. And I'll put an apple slice on there and see, here we go. Cheers. So we've got our apple pie mimosa. So you taste a lot of the cinnamon, very appley. And I think this syrup could also have sat for a little while longer too, to be more cinnamony. It didn't sit the full 30 minutes. So, but yeah, so, with these, they look pretty, they look festive. And, I certainly would not feel deprived if I had one of these as well. Now, the other option for these too is what you could do is you could use half sparkling apple cider. And if you wanted to, you could use a non-alcoholic wine as well. There's a lot of different non-alcoholic types of things out on the market. One of them is called Seedlip. I don't know if you've ever seen this. They've got some other brand names as well, but this was kind of one of the original ones. And these are not cheap, but basically they're kind of herbal infusions that are meant to take the place of alcohol. And there's absolutely, so it kind of gives a little bit of a funky depth to a mocktail that maybe you wouldn't get just with fruit juices and sparkling water. All right, so the next mocktail we're going to make is we're going to make it's called a Jingle Bell Tingle. I know, I kind of made up the name. So I know it's a little hokey. So for this, we're actually going to use a cream of coconut. And this, so typically cream of coconut, you've probably heard of Coco Lopez. This cream of coconut, they add in a lot of emulsifiers, which really isn't the healthiest thing. So you could use this, but they actually add in a lot of sugar too. So you wouldn't want to use a simple syrup along with this. So what I'm using is actually the cream of coconut that you get in the cooking section. And this is from Trader Joe's, and it's just a coconut cream. They also have a coconut milk. So if you're looking to cut down on the fat in it a little bit, you could use the coconut milk, but you're only using an ounce of it. So it's really not, not, you know, a crazy amount. It's not like you're drinking, an entire glass of coconut cream. So we're going to use an ounce of the coconut milk. And then we're going to do 2 ounces of the coconut water. Well, and actually, you know what? I have a pretty big glass. So I'm actually going to double this mocktail just because my glass, the one that I pulled out, is a little bit bigger. So I'm just so we have plenty in there, I'm going to double it. There we go. So then to this, we're going to add in a tablespoon of lime juice. And so I've got my limes here. Now here's a quick question for everyone. Which is going to have more juice in it? We have an oval lime here that's kind of very nubbly and lots of little knobs on it. This one isn't a perfect example, but this one is rounder and it's got a little bit more smoother and shiny skin. Does anyone know which is going to have more juice? What are you looking for when you're looking for limes? Anyone want to take a guess? Put it in the chat box. I also saw that Tara put in the mocktail recipes for today. So thank you for that, Tara. If you see me looking down, I'm just looking to see what the answer is. And yes, you are correct. The rounder, shinier one is going to have more juice in it. And the reason why is because it has much thinner skin. Another tip to get more juice out, of course, you all know this, is to roll it or put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. So I've got that rolled. And, with this one, I'm not even going to measure out a tablespoon. I know that with this lime right here, it's about a tablespoon. So I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze it in. And that's the thing with mocktails, is that you, when you're making them, that it doesn't have to be exactly what the recipe is. You can, once you start making these, a couple of them, you're going to feel pretty confident and you're going to feel free to switch it up with different juices and different types of, sparkling water or lime juice, whatever it might be. So we've got our lime juice in there. Then I'm also going to add in my syrup. So this is the ginger syrup. If you didn't have a ginger syrup, you could also just use a plain simple syrup, would work as well. But the ginger really adds, is a big part of this mocktail. The ginger and the coconut together are really, really good. So, and then lastly, I'm going to add in my ice. Now, anytime you're making a mocktail, ice is really important, unless it's like a hot toddy type of mocktail. But if it's a cold mocktail, ice counts for about 25% of the drink. And as that ice melts, it's going to melt into the drink. So having fresh, kind of clean ice is really important. If you haven't touched the ice in your freezer since July, and it's the middle of winter now, I would highly suggest making some fresh ice cubes or buying some ice, if you're having a party, buying it, a big bag of it, because you really want the ice to be, kind of not freezer burnt. I'm going to add in, about a scoop of ice to this. And then I'm going to shake it up. And so what this shaking up does is it gives you little kind of ice crystals that'll kind of fall off into your drink and make the drink especially icy, and also melt a little bit of the ice to kind of, so it's not quite as strong. So got a nice shake. And then pull off our top. If you don't have a Boston shaker, you could also just put it in a jar and shake the jar around and, kind of, pour it out like that way. Or you could just mix it in the glass too and just pour it straight into the glass and then just pour the ice straight in. So no worries if you don't have a Boston shaker, there's other ways that you could do it. Look at that. That was a pretty good guess on how much ice I needed, huh? All right, so we have our little drink here. You could grate a little bit of nutmeg on top if you wanted to. Sprinkle a little bit of nutmeg on, a little bit, but I'm actually going to put on some pomegranate seeds. So these are the little pomegranate arils, and they make such a beautiful kind of addition to the drink. So here you can go. And you can see that looks like as well. It doesn't quite look as pretty from the side, but when you look at it from the top, it's super pretty with these white white and then the pomegranates. This one's really good. It's really creamy, really coconutty. Now let's say that you didn't like coconut, right? Could you make this with anything else? You could actually make it with a little bit of half and half. I know, a little bit of definitely, these are all treats, right? We've got lots of sugar in these. So, but it's nice to treat yourself too especially when you're trying to cut back on the alcohol and, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. So, all right, we've got our, 2 cocktails, and now we're going to make the last one. And for the last one, we are going to make a pomegranate ginger fizz. So we're going to pull out our ginger syrup again, and this one is going to be a fizz. So with this, we're going to mix in 2 ounces of pomegranate juice, and this really is the best pomegranate juice. You can also buy pomegranate juice that's been just in the juice aisle, in the middle aisles, it's not refrigerated. There's a big difference in the one that's, that comes, just in the refrigerated section. So I'll go for the one in the refrigerated section. It does make a difference in this drink. Sometimes you can switch it up with different things, but I think with that, you're definitely going to notice a difference. So with this one, once again, we're going to add in, you can use either lemon juice or lime juice. I think I'll do some lemon juice with this one. So, and for this one, we're going to use about 1/4 to 1/2 of a lemon or a lime. And whoops. Got my computer in front of me, and I just squirted lemon juice onto my computer. Let me just kind of wipe that off there. I know, my poor computer. It's seen quite a few cooking demos, and believe me, it shows. All right, so I'm going to use my lemon juice or lime juice, and you could use 1/4 to 1/2 of a lemon or a lime. I like a little bit to be, a little bit less sweet, a little bit more sour. I'm going to add in 2 ounces of my pomegranate juice. 2 ounces is going to be 1/4 cup. And once again, a little bit more, a little bit less, not a big deal. Pomegranate juice. Now, so for this one, I'm putting it in a really tall, it's called a highball glass. And it's going to be really pretty because we're going to kind of do it as like an ombre. And so you'll see, we're going to kind of leave the pomegranate juice at the bottom. I'm going to add in about 1 tablespoon of my ginger syrup. And this one needs a little bit more of a stirring because it was frozen. But there we go. Now it's all melted. We have our ginger syrup in there. We've got our lime juice. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to fill it up with ice. So put your juice all at the bottom, and then you want to fill the entire glass up with ice. Don't be stingy with the ice. It does make a difference in the drink, and it, especially with a tall glass like this. And it actually, the more ice you have, it actually keeps your drink colder. And not as watery, because the colder it is, the less it's going to melt and the less watery your drink's going to be. So don't be afraid to add lots of ice. So now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a sparkling water. What you could also add to this one is a little bit of the seedlip. So we're going to try this out. This is the first time I'm trying this. So I'm actually just going to add a little shot of the seedlip in there. And once again, you don't have to add this, just keep it out completely. But thought I'd try it. And then lastly, sparkling water. I love the LaCroix sparkling water. I mean, I'm not getting paid to push any of these, but Cooks Illustrated just did a review of all the sparkling waters, and Poland Spring really got very, very high marks. So you can go for this Poland Spring as well. And so with this one, I'm just kind of filling it up to the top, and you can see it kind of makes a little bit of an ombre there. And then we're going to add in some, extra, jazz it up a little bit. And we can add in a little clementine. And also with this, what would go really well is some rosemary too. Would be really pretty and very festive as well. So like a little sprig of rosemary. And you can see there is our pomegranate gin fizz. Our pomegranate ginger fizz. You can also stir it up, and maybe I kind of went overboard in the ice there a little bit, but with this one, let me taste that seedlip. It's nice. Adds just a little bit more depth of flavor, so that you don't feel like you're just drinking, kind of fruit juice and sparkling water. And that's where a lot of the simple syrups come in too. Like with the ginger simple syrup, or rosemary you could use, or the cinnamon, it just adds a little bit more depth of flavor, and it makes it a little bit more complex than it would otherwise. So here we go. Cheers. We've got our ginger pomegranate sparkler. This one is really kind of my favorite too. The Jingle Bell Tingler. And lastly, we have also our mimosa, apple pie mimosa. So please feel free to, use the chat box for questions. If you have any comments, I would love to hear from you. Are you making anything in particular this holiday season? What have you tried? What's failed? What's worked for you? Yeah, feel free to use the chat box. In the meantime, for those of you, maybe, did everyone get the recipe and were able to download it? If not, I'm just going to hold the recipe up real quick. That I know it's kind of bright there, but if you want to take a screenshot of that, if for some reason you weren't able to get it in the chat box, you can take a screenshot of that there. But you should be able to download it from the chat. And thank you once again, Tara reposted them, so you should have that available. So all right, let's see, I'm not seeing anything. All All right. Well, it looks like we're at 1:30 now. So I'm going to say goodbye to you all. And I hope you have a wonderful holiday season with your loved ones, that you're able to make a couple mocktails, have some fun with it. Don't be afraid to try different things. And also, these mocktails you can make really at any time of year. It doesn't just have to be during the holidays. They are good really anytime. So thank you so much. And we will see you next time.